Otherworld continent, multiple female leaders, mysterious fantasy. This is an era of cultivating internal skills, where there are powerful families practicing internal skills. The modern man suddenly crossed over to the little boy but fell into a chaotic situation. His father mysteriously disappeared and witnessed his grandfather's death. Before his death, the grandfather entrusted himself to his father as a close friend. The strange jade pendant left by my mother, the suspicious old man in the jade pendant, the mysterious stone lion, what exactly is everything? Chapter 1. Chasing. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 2. The Death of Jiang Teng. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 3. The Mystery of the Mainland. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 4. Kidnapping. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 5. Cold Snow Wind. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 6. The Source of Ice Crystals. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 7. Gu in Southern Xinjiang. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 8. The Mystery of Jade Pendant. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 9. Road Accidents. You are listening at novel full.audio. Bailey City and Xinjiang City are not far apart, and it didn't take Jiang long to return to Xinjiang City. Outside the city gate, a village has been covered in white snow. Night shrouded the entire village, but the white snow added a glimmer of light to it. Every household in the village has set fire, and the firewood in the stove is burning fiercely. Wisps of white smoke are emitting from the chimney on the roof. The burning firewood ensures warmth inside the house and fills this snowy village with the atmosphere of human fireworks. The night shrouded the boundary marker outside the village entrance, which read Li Village. Suddenly, several big men appeared next to the boundary marker, their footsteps heavy and firm, as if carrying unstoppable strength. Led by a scarred face, his gaze was cold and ruthless, followed by 7 or 8 big men, who walked step by step towards the village. Beilisheng, Xuejia. Cold Xiefeng returned to Shue's home, and suddenly appeared behind him, asking, "Why didn't you bring that kid back?" Leng Xiefeng replied, "It's safer in Xinjiang City than in Bailey City. After all, Bailey City is also located at the border, and people from the north have infiltrated. We can't keep an eye on each other, so let him go find Qinguan. Maybe the people in front of him later will know about this and take him back. After all, he is the only descendant of his sister." After hearing this, Xue Qingfeng gave a ha-ha and left. Before leaving, he turned his back to Leng Xiefeng and said, "Living in Bailey City has always been unsettling. Even if the person in Jiangqing guards Bailey City well, he won't lose his life. Although the princess may have died because of a person from the desert, after all these years of investigation, I know you have some evidence in your hands, but you should be more cautious in your actions." After saying these words, Xue Qingfeng left the cold and snowy place. Leng Xiefeng remained silent for a while without giving any response to this matter. On the way back, Jiang Yi sat on a carriage practicing the holy body technique of Jiang. He knows very well that everything is unsafe when his body lacks internal strength. Although only in a small business environment, he still dare not slack off at all. Outside the carriage, there was no snow on Chen Tai's body, only some on his hat. Chen Tai looked at the distance on the landmark and felt a little relieved in his heart. Because in less than an hour, he will return to Xinjiang City with Jiang Yi. When passing by Li Village, Chen Tai smelled a bloody smell. Out of the warrior's vigilance, he intended to ignore it, but the smell of blood was too strong, and he felt that the entire village had been slaughtered. So Chen Tai stopped the carriage and walked to the side of it, saying to Jiang through the curtain, 10 miles ahead is Xinjiang city. You should have smelled the bloody smell here, probably because bandits have entered the village. I plan to go into the village to see if there are any survivors. After hearing this, Jiang stopped practicing and walked out of the carriage, saying to Chen Tai, let me go with you. There are still a few miles away from Xinjiang city. Let's go to the village together. If there are any survivors, we can still save them. You are so skilled, you must be able to protect me. The two walked towards the village, and in front of a house, the door had already been opened. The roof was still emitting smoke, and without any accidents, the people inside had already died. Chen Tai touched his neck and turned to Jiang, saying, this family has all died, but the bodies are still warm. We should be able to meet survivors as we move forward. The two of them ran towards the village while keeping an eye out for any surviving villagers. At this moment, in front of a well in the middle of the village, a 12-year-old girl was standing by the well, with despair and determination in her eyes. Her clothes were worn out, her face was covered in tears and dust, and her body trembled in the cold wind, as if she could jump off at any moment. Outside the well, about 10 big men surrounded the little girl, trying to catch her before she jumped into the well. These big men are burly in stature, with fierce faces that make people shudder. Their clothes were also very worn out, but they exuded a savage aura. The leader among them is a scarred face, with a deep scar on his face that makes him look even more fierce. He took out a white cloth from his clothes and wiped the blood from the knife in his hand. There was a hint of greed and cruelty in his eyes, as if he was thinking of some evil plan. And another pockmarked face smirked and said, little girl, come down with us and come back to the mountains to be our boss's suppression wife. In the future, we will enjoy delicious food and spicy food. His laughter was nauseating, and his words were even more infuriating. The little girl's body trembled even more upon hearing his words, and her eyes were filled with fear and helplessness. No, I won't go down. You guys let go of me, the little girl shouted loudly with all her strength. Her voice was filled with despair and helplessness, as if seeking help from the world. However, those big men ignored her plea for mercy, still tightly surrounding her outside the well, trying to catch her. At this point, the little girl had already retreated to the edge of the well, and her body had tilted. If she took another step back, she would fall into the well. However, those big men did not give up, they were still approaching her. At this critical moment, a voice came from a distance. Stop. The sound was like a heavenly melody, making everyone lift their heads. I saw a tall man walking from a distance, his face full of righteousness and dignity. He held a long sword and charged towards the big men. The big men saw his arrival and retreated one after another, as if they were very afraid of the man. What are you people? Why bully a little girl? Chen Tai asked loudly. His voice was filled with anger and a sense of justice. We are bandits, and we will take her back to the mountains to be our boss's wife, said the pockmarked face. You mountain bandits are oppressing the people and committing crimes. Today, I will act on behalf of heaven and eliminate all of you. Chen Tai said. After speaking, Chen Tai held a long sword and charged towards the mountain bandits. The mountain bandits were also unwilling to be outdone, and they all picked up weapons and rushed towards the man. Both sides engaged in a fierce battle. The man's swordsmanship was superb. He was adept at fighting and defeated the mountain bandits step by step. And those mountain bandits, on the other hand, became more and more brave in battle. They seemed to not care about their own lives and were willing to pay any price as long as they could catch the little girl. The battle lasted for a long time, and both sides paid a heavy price. Finally, only Scarface and Chen Tai are still fighting. Their bodies were covered in blood, but their eyes remained steadfast. Scar's face gasped for breath and cursed loudly, his second aunt, why are you so unlucky today? You've come across a martial arts training ground. Before Scarface could finish speaking, all the brothers around him had already collapsed. He panicked and picked up a knife, ready to run away, only to find a little boy appearing in front of him. This little boy is exactly Jiang. Scarface pondered in his heart, a little one probably hasn't practiced before. So, without hesitation, he took a knife and chopped towards Jiang. Jiang stimulated his internal strength, and a white light appeared from his hand. I only heard Jiang whispering, Tinglong kill. Scarface's body no longer had the ability to resist and fell directly to the ground. At this moment, Chen Tai brought the little girl over, and Jiang picked up the blade of the scarred face with one hand and threw it to the little girl. He said to the little girl, revenge your family. The little girl squatted down and picked up the sword that Jiang had lost. With all her strength, she stabbed a deadly sword towards her scarred face. Scarred face was unavoidable, and this sword pierced through the heart. His body slowly collapsed, ending his sinful life. The little girl dropped her knife and knelt directly in front of Jiang, saying, thank you, young master. If it weren't for the young master's help, the little girl would have died in the well. If the young master doesn't mind, the little girl will often accompany the young master and take care of his daily life. Jiang looked at Chen Tai and saw Chen Tai. Chen Tai's eyes were fixed on other places, as if he was saying that you should take care of this matter yourself. Jiang came to the little girl's side and held her in his arms. The little girl's body was still trembling, and her eyes were filled with fear and helplessness. The man lightly patted her shoulder and said, I'm not a wealthy young master either. I'm also on the run, so it's more dangerous for you to follow me. Before Jiang could finish speaking, the little girl interrupted him and looked up at his eyes, which were filled with gratitude and trust. He said, if it weren't for the young master's help tonight, I would have died in the hands of this group of people, and I wouldn't be afraid at all. Jiang felt quite helpless about this. He told the girl, if you stay with me, you won't receive any wages. But I will ensure your basic needs. I don't know how to call the girl. The girl replied, the girl's name is Li Sichuan. You can call me Xuan'er. As long as the young master doesn't mind, I am willing to follow him. Jiang looked at the girl in front of him and felt a hint of pity in his heart. Her clothes were worn out, and there was a look of exhaustion and hunger on her face. Chapter 10. Taking in Xuan'er. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text.